You don't hear this often, but I'm hoping this weekend a lot of Alabama players have a senior moment.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Game Time, and we want to thank you guys for helping making Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network there is. And Locked On Bama is a part of that because of you. So thank you guys so much. Jimmy, really hoping that there's several senior moments in a good way, not in a, I forgot to cover that guy way, in a way that we get to see a Tim Keenan have a sack or LT Overton strip sack or a Jam Miller get 60 yards. I mean, I'm not shooting for the moon here. Deontae Lawson with a pick six, something. I want something like that. And along those lines, why don't we do this to honor these seniors? And there are a lot of them. Number one, I'd like to know who your favorite. Now, that can be a sticky wicket, but I don't think they're with their feelings hurt. You know, you got LT Overton, you got Geno Vandermark, Jam Miller, Nakai Hill Green, Deontae Lawson, Tim Keenan. I'm sure you can pick out a few more that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Maybe Cuevas, Bernard, Germie Bernard, guys that we know aren't going to be coming back. And so why don't you give me your favorite of those and tell me why?
Kind of a boring answer for some. I'd probably say my favorite senior is Deontae Lawson. Part of it is I'm a bit of a homer. He's from my Mobile area. Saw him play in high school as a very young player. As a matter of fact, I saw him play, I believe, pretty sure that was his 9th grade season, and picked him out as like, okay, this guy's going to be somebody to watch. I didn't know then, of course, that he would be Alabama and then have the career that he's had at Alabama, but he was easy to spot at playing for Ronnie Cottrell at Mobile Christian. That's how long ago that was. So I would say Deontae's a favorite, but I also want to co-mention Germie Bernard. He's only been here 2 years, but I think Germie is a great poster child for Alabama today because, A, not every star on the team shows up like Deontae did 5 years ago. A lot of them are transfers. Secondly, he transferred with DeBoer and has been a great player and a wide receiver and part of the DeBoer, offense. And he's such a super kid. He's such a super guy. I mean, Germie is as good of a person as there is on this football team. So I'll go with favorites Deontae because he's my local guy, and Germ as being emblematic of this season and the DeBoer era at Alabama.
I think Germ is probably the right answer. As if there's a right answer in this because it's opinion, but I do think he's probably the right answer because I think he's been the most impactful of all the bunch, even though he's only been here 2 years. I'm going to say Tim Keenan.
I love that.
And the reason I say Tim Keenan is because he is a Gump. He's a Bammer. He just loves him some Alabama, which I appreciate. I know I hate this for him. I think one of the things that I think of when I think of Tim Keenan right now is back in the summer when somebody asked him about Thomas Castellanos' comments, and he said all disrespect will be addressed or something. And, of course, it was not addressed at all. And I hate that that's sort of his senior quote right now. But I think hopefully that'll fade because I love Tim Keenan. I do. He always wanted to be at Bama, I think, and got his opportunity. And how awesome would it be if you got to go play for the place you always wanted to play? And I think that Tim Keenan got to live a dream. Not only that, I think he represented Alabama extremely well. On top of that, he's a fantastic football player. Here's hoping that he gets all the opportunities in the world at the next level. I don't know how successful that's going to be. I certainly don't think he's a first, second, or maybe even a third or fourth round pick, but I think he could get on with some team. He's big enough, strong enough, and by God, people like him. So I'm going to go Tim Keenan. I would have accepted Jam Miller because Jam we do think Jam had a hand in turning this season around. Granted, his production has fallen way off. Would have accepted Deontae Lawson, as you eloquently put it. Certainly would have accepted Cuevas, because this is a guy. I mean, has anybody been more clutch than Cuevas this year? I mean, he always seems to make a catch when we need it.
Cuevas has been so good. I'm stealing this from our buddy Blake, and I know Blake listens to the show sometimes. I'm stealing from our buddy Blake, but Josh Cuevas has been so good lately. I wonder if Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen tell people, I went to the same high school as that guy, Josh Cuevas, Alabama. Yeah, that's how good he's been. Josh is a great answer. One thing I liked about your Tim Keenan answer, I said Germie Bernard is as good as a person as there is on this football team. If so, he's probably in a tie with Tim Keenan, who's also just a fantastic human being, serviceable, charitable, spiritual, a great leader on the team. How about this shout out? They won't be acknowledged tomorrow for good reason, but there is the possibility, even the strong possibility, that we could be seeing Ty Simpson and Caden Proctor for the last time at Alabama. They are. There's been a couple of high-profile mock drafts this week by, Mel Kiper, Field Yates on their show. Matt Miller, who's one of the best in the business. Kiper and Field Yates had Ty going number 3. Matt Miller has Ty going number 5. They both have Proctor in the first round. So it could be their last games. They won't be honored because they're not seniors. And I think both could come back. As a matter of fact, even though they could both hear, hey, if you come out, you're going in the first round, both of them could choose to come back. This is a different time. It's 2025. They would do well financially at Alabama. I think both love being at Alabama a lot. Caden Proctor's, friends are here. Ty Simpson just getting started as a starter. I think he would recognize that it would benefit him to have more college experience. So I don't rule out them coming back at all, even with projections where they are. But we do have to, it could be the last time in Bryant-Denny for Ty Simpson and Caden Proctor. Maybe they host a playoff game. Though, hear me out on this really quickly, off topic, but not really, but important. I kind of see Alabama's playoff position right now. Either you beat Auburn and beat A&M, and if so, you're a top 4 seed with a bye, or you beat Auburn, lose in the SEC championship game, and then you're on the road in the first round. I don't really see Alabama in that middle ground anymore of the middle team, the middle 4 host. I see Alabama a top 4 or bottom 4. And that could be wrong, but I just say that to mention this is why it could be the last game of Bryant-Denny for Ty Simpson, Caden Proctor, and all the seniors. Huge senior class, by the way. Huge. I bet we can go back and look at this. I bet it's the biggest senior class since COVID happened and all the crazy eligibility stuff started. I think this is the biggest one.
Yeah. Now, the caveat being, and I think this is something I should have learned recently, is that things can change. That we look at it from the Alabama perspective, like, okay, if Alabama does this, then this will happen. What we don't factor in is all the upsets that have been happening and all the bad performances and the injuries and the whatever. So I hate to say with any decisiveness that if Alabama wins out, go to the SEC title game and loses, they have no shot at a home game. I don't know if that's true. I mean, on the surface, if all things remaining equal, then yes, I think you're absolutely right. However, looking at this now, like if Alabama loses on a last-second 57-yard field goal to Texas A&M, I might be hesitant to say, okay, yeah, that you go from a bye to a road. I would say maybe you're an 8. What if Missouri with Bo Pribula, and we'll talk about this game later, what if they go into Oklahoma and win this weekend? That's not nuts.
It's not nuts at all. I think any number of things could be crazy this weekend. How about Mercer playing Auburn close with a true freshman starter quarterback? Mercer being pretty good. But no, there could be upsets. USC Oregon's going to determine quite a bit. What if USC wins? There's some chaos there.
Yeah.
Any number of things can happen for sure.
All right, we'll talk about all these games in just a bit because it's a paltry weekend. There's no doubt about it. I do want to throw this in there though. It dawned on me that LT Overton, he didn't even have a senior year. So it is in high school. So like this is kind of his first senior year, and he would be one of the faves, maybe the fave for me, had he chosen Alabama at first, which a lot of people thought he was going to do. And he ended up going to A&M with that ballyhooed A&M class that Nick Saban said something about that ticked off Jimbo Fisher. By the way, Jimbo Fisher is unlistenable to on the radio. They talk like this and it goes like this. And he said, well, I don't know what they're talking about. That's crazy. Craziest thing I ever heard. What are you talking about? And I'm like, dude, I talk fast. And I'm like, slow down.
That was low-key a pretty good Jimbo Fisher, by the way. That was
low-key Jimbo Fisher. What are you talking about, Jimmy? Why do you want to talk about me like that? Don't talk about me like that. And then every now and again he fumbles with his mic. Quit talking about me like that, Jimmy. What you talking about? But
you can go on the road with that. And
he really, it's so irritating. It's so irritating because he's on the show with EJ Manuel and with Jacob Hester. And I both like that show and hate that show. I like it on occasion because they do get good guests, and I do think they both love college football. I dislike it because EJ Manuel does appear to be everybody deserves a seat at the table kind of guy, and I hate that look. And I also hate it because of this. And other people may be like, well, Luke, we hate it when you say game time. Okay, that's fine. But you can do that. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I hate that they call themselves Meathead Radio. I just don't like that term. I don't know why. I don't know why that term. It's like, how the word moist bothers some people?
It sort of fits Hester a little bit. I mean, in the sense, if I hear Meathead, I think fullback. I think fullback.
I do too, but EJ Manuel's not a meathead.
No, he's not. And I see EJ Manuel all the time on ACC Network, and I watch a college football live frequently on ESPN, and EJ is on there a lot. He's good at the job. I agree with you that there are some takes. I disagree with his takes, but that's okay. Most of y'all listening to this show have disagreed with me a number of times. I would hope so. All we do is spew out opinions. So you're going to disagree, and that's okay, of course. Heck, I've been wrong about a lot of things.
Occasionally, we're going to be wrong. Occasionally.
Imagine that. One time I thought I was wrong, but I was wrong.
I was incorrect. I know that joke. Why is this thing working? There we go. Got to do it again. All right. Speaking of sponsors that we have, and one of them being Game Time, I'm going to tell you about Game Time. College football is back. It's been back. And I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, and there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually, getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping up at checkout. That's why I use Game Time. That gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score tickets at the last minute with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. That's all we all want. When you go shopping for something, what you hate is they say this is $10. Oh, you go to checkout and they're like, okay, we have a rust proofing. We have we just want to stick it to you fee. We have you got to get your accelerator rod waxed or what, I don't know. And next thing you know, it's $40. You're like, no, I thought it was $10. Game Time doesn't do that. Game Time doesn't do that. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's all one word for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, $20 off. Swipe, ticket, tap, go, download Game Time today. Jimbo Fisher officially endorses Game Time. Or at least this imitation of him does. I don't know.
That was good. It was started out good, but it's getting worse.
I know it really tailed off.
You got to reset. You need a Jimbo Fisher impersonation reset.
If I knew how to edit, I would do it. All right, let's talk about some recruiting visitors for this weekend. It's not going to be a huge weekend for Alabama, of course. I mean, this is, it's.
I'll say this: Illinois, if you're committed to Alabama and you're coming to this game, you're signing with Alabama. There will be no flip. There will be no flip. There are no flips. You're committed. You are thoroughly committed. If you're signed with Alabama and you're like, I'm going to the Eastern Illinois game, you are not on flip watch.
This is the equivalent of like, how serious are you and this girl? Well, I'm going with her and her parents to church right before Christmas. Now, you're pretty serious. I don't care if you've only gone out on 2 dates. That's serious. You know, this is like you've made a super commitment. There's a tight end named Tommy Douglas who's coming in from 2027 out of Princeton, New Jersey. I take that back. He is not coming in this weekend. I looked at the wrong weekend. Jimmy, who's coming in this weekend?
It reminded me, what you just said reminded me of, you always tell your stories. When I was in high school, I was dating for a while, not too long, this girl that was junior miss. She's like junior miss of Baldwin County. So they were having the statewide competition to determine who would be the junior miss in Alabama. And I wanted to go because I was like totally into her. So I wanted to go, but you had to get the tickets to that thing or commit to it like a month before. And I taught my mom into going, and so my mom and my stepdad, they're going, and I talked them into it, and they didn't want to. It was going to blow a whole weekend. They weren't excited about it. I mean, I was dragging them, and then we sort of broke up, but we had made all these plans to go, so I didn't tell my mom. So we went anyway, and we were like broken up. And when the girl came up in the stands to thank her people for coming, we just sort of, my mom could tell when we just sort of half waved across the thing. Mom's like, she wasn't being very friendly. And I'm like, well, we sort of like broke up about 10 days ago. The look on my mom's face was like, you drug me up here and you're not even with her anymore. It was, so yes, that was being committed.
Yeah, that is being committed.
Look, I also gave up a Kiss concert. That night, Kiss was like playing in Pensacola or something. And I'm like, I got to go to the junior miss thing in Montgomery. Well, I want to do high school all over again.
Oh God.
That's the first time.
Nobody wants to do high school all over again more than I do. Nobody. I was the worst. But
miss Kiss.
Speaking of that, yeah, I'll one up you on that. And I'm sorry if we're just telling personal stories. That's what we're doing. My cousin married a Frenchman, as you know, and I have 2 French cousins. They're divorced now, but I went to their wedding, and I met a girl there that, you know, we hit it off. She was sort of distantly on the groom side, and you know how you do when you're talking. You're like, hey, why don't you come down and visit? You know, and next thing I know, she's planning a visit. I'm like, I mean all that.
From
when
France.
She got down here,
she's not from France. It's just someone you met.
Yeah, she's from France, and
she's coming from France.
She spoke kind of English, and so she got here, and like the first couple of days were great. She was a little bigger than I remembered, I grew very weary of her quickly.
Well, you kind of speak English too. That's y'all's starting point.
That's why we jive so well. And she was here for like 3 weeks, and like after day 2, I was like, I'm like, I don't really want to see this woman anymore. Now, and my mom, I remember my mom was like having to take her all over the place. Like, Luke, this is supposed to be your thing. I'm like, I didn't really think she was coming. So, I don't know. And so
all the way from France.
And then I took her to a putt-putt thing with another friend while I was in high school. And like, she couldn't really catch on to putt-putt, which is crazy. And we finally go home, and mom thought she was going to have like the whole afternoon to herself. And mom comes home, her eyes are like, she says, she was supposed to be out of my house for like 3 hours, like this afternoon. You're already back. I'm like, oh, yeah. And my mom was so mad at me. But anyway,
you should have said, all right, I'll take you to the movies tonight. She's like, oh, fun. What do you want to see? And say, Heath Ledger's in. It's called I'm Just Not That Into You. Isn't that what that movie was called? There's some sort of Heath Ledger movie called that. Okay.
It's a little movie called I'm Going to Kill You and Hide the Body.
Lord. What kind of theaters y'all got in Alexander City?
It's a little known horror movie on Shudder. Anyway, so visiting this weekend, look, we're joking around because it's not a huge visit weekend. I'm sorry.
Bear Fretwell, friend of the show. Bear Fretwell. To this day,
Corey Howard
never appeared on our show.
Corey Howard. Let me tell you who else is coming. CD Morgan.
Well,
how about that?
He's your favorite prospect of all time. Certainly be up there.
Now, CD Morgan and Benjamin Russell play Hueytown this Friday tonight. It's Friday tonight. And Hueytown has that kid that's like the number one junior in Alabama, maybe number one or number two.
Donovan Moore, the defensive lineman.
Everybody assumes he's going to Auburn.
I'm not so I mean, okay, betting favorite Auburn. I'm going to pull a Lee Corso here. Not so fast. Not so fast. Alabama's strong chance. But, if we had to bet our dollar today, I'd go Auburn.
Okay.
So Auburn's having a coaching change. I mean, how that's going to affect things to a degree, of course.
It's got to. I mean, right?
Of course. Well, I mean, who you've had the relationship with is relationships are a big part of all this, and Alabama's stability. Now, on the other hand, a staff comes in, they have relationships with new kids, and some kids immediately take a liking to. For instance, Ryan Williams liked Jamarcus Shepard minute number one, which was a huge help for Alabama in retaining Ryan Williams or getting Ryan back on board. He liked Jamarcus Shepard immediately. So, I wouldn't say just because they have a new staff that it means everything's upside down, but it's a factor, no question, that Alabama's stability with the in-state kids is going to be a helpful factor through Auburn's change.
What about that gigantic kid that's only been playing football for like 2 years? That's also a basketball player whose last name I can't possibly pronounce. Will he be here this weekend?
He is not coming. He is not coming. He got an offer from Arizona State, and who offered him a rev share and NIL type package that, and I think at that point, the visit was canceled. I've been following this on Bones' work on BOL. He's covered this well, as he usually does over there at BOL. So that visit's not going to happen. And again, I think I talked about it, recently. There's a difference between having room and having a financial package for a kid. You can have room, but you're sort of out of money, or not out of money. You might be stocking it away for something that you perceive as a bigger.
You have a budget.
Of course, you do have everybody's got a budget. I mean, that's the thing. Even Major League Baseball, which famously doesn't have a salary cap, you know what all those teams have? Budgets. Some are just much bigger than others, but they literally all have budgets. And football right now, college football, it's pretty set. Your rev share budget is just hardcore set. Everyone's got a different NIL ability, but keep in mind the NIL deals have to be approved by NIL Go. Doesn't matter that in your NIL bank account you have $80 million. It only matters what NIL Go is going to approve on a deal by deal basis.
Let's talk some FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at bigger payouts. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I'm not going to let Jimmy do it today. You got to earn it.
I was going to say NBA in my Jimbo Fisher impersonation voice, and now everybody missed it.
NBA.
Yeah, he would say it would sound like one letter.
NBA.
Just near the end, or maybe the A.
So a few things, just some heavy stuff that we're going to do quick. There was a guy for like the Center Inquirer or whatever from Pennsylvania said that he thinks Keenan DeBoer is Penn State's number one target. Look, we did a show on it the other day because it was just a thing, and we thought, okay, we'll talk about it. I don't think that's happening. I don't care if he loses to Auburn or not. I don't think that's happening. I mean, it just doesn't seem right. And I'm not sure it'd even be a great move for him. I mean, you got pressure at Alabama. Well, Penn State made the semifinals last year and fired the coach. So, I mean, you got pressure everywhere, bruh.
Yeah, I don't think if it did happen, I don't think it would be about, well, there's too much pressure at Alabama and there's less pressure at Penn State. I don't think it would be about that at all if it happened. I'm with Luke. I do not think it happens. I would bet money against it happening. I think Kalen DeBoer will be the head football coach at Alabama in 2026. I'll just admit, I think there's an above zero chance it happens. I mean, I think it's, I don't even want to say realistic, but I'm going to keep with that phrase, above zero chance of it happening. But I would bet money, and I don't normally bet a lot of money on sports stuff, but I would bet money that DeBoer is the head coach at Alabama in 2026.
The Kiffin drama just keeps getting weirder and weirder. He's got a meeting with Ole Miss today. I mean, I thought for the longest time he's going to stick with Ole Miss. I no longer think that. And then if he leaves, does Ole Miss target John Sumrall and then if that happens, does Auburn up their offer to some? I mean, it's getting nuts out there. Thank God we're not a part of it this year, at least not yet. I don't think we will be, but just interesting stuff. Now, let's move on to predictions for the game. Look, Jimmy, I could easily see this being another 73-0. I could. I mean, honestly, Eastern Illinois is probably not even as good as Louisiana Monroe. Probably not even close. And so I'm going to say 73-0. Why not? The bigger predictions for me, do we have a running back get over 100 yards?
No.
Agreed. Does Keelan Russell play more than a quarter, meaning 15 minutes or more of game time?
No.
Agreed. Does Ryan Williams make a big play? Like
yes.
50 yards or more?
Yes.
Does Lottie Brooks score a touchdown?
Yes.
Do we have a special teams or defensive touchdown?
No.
Ooh, that's the first one I'm going to disagree with you on.
Okay.
Well, I mean, honestly, the way, in fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Lottie Brooks scores on a kickoff return. Maybe the first kickoff return.
Very possible. Very possible. I mean, it's certainly possible. Good luck tackling that guy when you're Eastern Illinois and you had trouble tackling, Lindenwood last week. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a name the score type thing. And I'm going to say more specifically, I think it'll be 70-0, 70, and be very similar to Louisiana Monroe. I think Ty is going to not throw. Let's say I would put the over under at Ty incompletions at 2. I think there will be 4 or 5 touchdown passes. It will be spread out. The reason I didn't have a back over 100 yards is I do think while no back will have 100 yards, I think as many as 3 backs could have over 60 or 70 yards in terms of the top 3 guys. I think Ty Simpson and the offense plays a little longer in the game than some would like, simply because we're trying to build some confidence back in that first team offensive unit. I want to see them play. I expect them to play. I don't think it'll be a rush to get Austin Mack and the 2s in. And I think Austin Mack and Keelan Russell will play about the same amount of snaps, and that hopefully you even see Cade Carruth take the final possession.
Yeah. I'd like to see a kid named John Cooper, he's the son of a friend of mine from Mountain Brook. I'd love to see him get some action. I don't know that he will.
He's playing DB now, right?
Is he DB? I thought he was still quarterback. Maybe he's not.
You could be right, but I thought they moved him to defensive back, but I'll check on that. Oh, and speaking of checking on things, because I said at the end of the last show, I checked on J.D. Davison. J.D. Davison is on the Houston Rockets active roster, so good for him. He's an NBA player playing on the Rockets, but he is 14th in minutes. So so he's not really playing much. And hey, when they're paying you, and he's making $2.2 million this year, which is fantastic. But he's going to have to play more to be signed next year at that rate.
Yeah, he's going to need to do something. He might be one of those that has a nice career overseas. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. You can make a lot of money. So, and speaking of that, I know Mississippi State lost last night. I think all the other SEC teams won in basketball. The league appears so far, 5-6 games in for some teams, to be not quite as good as last year. I've watched Kentucky a couple of times. They are not super impressive. They got dudes, and I'll tell you something. if you don't think I'm sort of smirky smiling about how Kentucky fans are complaining that Mo Diabate cost way too much for what he is, yeah, we were going to pay him what he's worth. You guys overpaid, and that's fine. I like Mo. You know, I love Mo Diabate, but
we love Mo.
We loved it, but he and I don't blame him for taking the money. But Kentucky fans seem to be saying, yeah, we overpaid for a guy who shoots too many threes for what he is. Yeah, 100%. See, he's allowed to shoot threes in our offense. I don't know about y'all's, but our offense is different.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
I'm there. And of course, kind of, Nick Pringle still playing college basketball, made some news, gets in a fight at the end of the Arkansas-Winthrop game. Boy, I can't believe Nick Pringle is still eligible to play college basketball. We must have had another COVID year or something.
And maybe I had COVID and missed it. That's only. Like you didn't have COVID, dang good way you didn't have COVID.
Those two have COVID brain for sure. We'll be in the comments today.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. So 70-0 and 73-0 are our predictions, and Lottie Brooks gets a TD. So those are the two key ones for me. And I say special teams defensive touchdown. Jimmy says not. So
no,
we will be live.
Offense is too busy scoring, but another shutout, 70-0. It'll be a stat patter for Alabama, and then next time you hear from us on a regular show, it will be the most anxiety-drenched Auburn week of our lives. That starts the show Sunday, but we'll have a reaction show after Eastern Illinois.
God, I really hate the Iron Bowl. Jimmy, here's the thing. Auburn hadn't been a factor in anything for like 5 years. And I just hate this game for every reason. I hate this game. I just do. And I know it's crucial to the integrity, the fabric of college football, but I hate this game. I will always hate it. I don't enjoy playing them in anything. I just don't have fun. Even when we win, the first thing I think of is, hope we can beat them again next year.
Relief syndrome.
You
have relief syndrome when you win. It's a relief instead of celebratory. I will celebrate a win over Auburn just simply because Auburn or not, if Alabama beats Auburn, I fully anticipate them being in the playoff field, and that's worthy of celebration. There will be a handful of really good football teams this year that will not make the playoff. It's making a 12-team playoff seemed so simple to Alabama fans that we're used to every year under Saban. Hey, you're in the final two, you're in the final four, and Saban's making it year after year. It's a heck of a mentality to get away from that, to realize that even making the top 12 is difficult. For instance, the Big Ten is the second best conference in this sport by far. They're only getting 3 teams in.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back post-game tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.